White River Dam breach submerges Washington State. Washington, United States, December 17, 2025. A levee failure along the White River has triggered severe flooding in Pacific Washington. At least one person has died, more than 200 homes have been inundated, residents were forced to evacuate in the middle of the night, and the risk of prolonged flooding remains high. On Tuesday evening, some residents of Pacific Washington began returning to their homes after being forced to evacuate due to severe flooding caused by a levee breach along the White River. However, many parts of the city remained under lockdown as floodwaters had not fully receded and emergency crews continued reinforcing damaged levee sections to prevent further flooding. Local residents said they were awakened around 2:30 a.m. Tuesday by sirens, emergency alarms, and loudspeaker announcements, urging them to leave immediately. Shortly afterward, authorities went door to door, ordering urgent evacuations as floodwaters began pouring into low-lying neighborhoods. United States media confirmed that in Pacific, police and fire crews used helicopters equipped with loudspeakers while knocking on doors throughout Tuesday night to warn residents to evacuate. Some residents were rescued through ground floor windows as water levels rose rapidly. In a separate incident in Snohomish County, rescue teams found a vehicle submerged in about 6 feet of water, with the body of a 33-year-old man inside. Officials said many emergency calls during the storm came from people attempting to drive through flooded areas, underestimating how quickly water levels were rising. Gable Kramer, a Pacific resident forced to evacuate overnight, said he woke up to helicopters circling behind his home, repeatedly broadcasting evacuation orders. In a video he recorded early Tuesday morning, cold floodwaters surged through darkened streets, creating chaotic scenes as residents rushed to gather belongings. Realizing the danger, Kramer immediately evacuated with his 3 daughters, all under 9 years old, and 2 dogs, seeking shelter at his father's home in nearby Puyallup. "We had to grab what we could and get the kids and pets out immediately," he said. His family was among hundreds affected by the sudden flooding. Aerial footage revealed the scale of destruction, with more than 200 homes submerged. While helicopter crews monitored conditions from above, ground teams rushed to repair the breached levee using massive sandbags, often referred to as super sacks, to block the flow of water. Kramer said a truck carrying approximately 135,000 pounds of sand was deployed, a figure that stunned many residents and underscored the severity of the incident. By Tuesday evening, King County issued a new warning for the White River, stating that water levels could continue rising along temporary flood barriers in Pacific and Auburn. Overflow risks were forecast for areas including Government Canal, Butte Avenue, and Pacific City Park, prompting officials to urge residents to remain on high alert. Emergency crews stood ready with heavy equipment should conditions worsen. Residents said the disaster was especially heartbreaking as it struck just before the holiday season, a time when many families were preparing for year-end gatherings. More fortunate than some others, Kramer's family lives on higher ground, allowing him to return home Tuesday evening after evacuation orders were lifted in his area. However, he kept emergency supplies packed in case another evacuation became necessary. "We're being cautious but staying hopeful, and we'll move forward from there," he said. Earlier, the city of Pacific issued a Level 3 evacuation order, the highest emergency level, after the levee breach along the White River was discovered late at night. A flash flood warning was issued shortly afterward but expired around 7:45 a.m. Tuesday. King County officials said the breach near Pacific City Park was detected around 1:30 a.m., triggering widespread emergency alerts. Residents were advised to stay indoors until further notice and avoid the damaged levee area to allow repair efforts to continue. According to Valley Regional Fire Authority, the first 911 call was received around 1:20 a.m. Tuesday from a resident reporting water entering their apartment. By 5 a.m., firefighters had successfully evacuated about 220 homes in areas including Megan Court, Park View Apartments and Spencer Court, east of Butte and south of 3rd Street. King County officials arrived early, deploying heavy equipment to place additional sandbags before 11:30 a.m., when the United States Army Corps of Engineers began water releases from Mud Mountain Dam. Engineering teams are still investigating the cause of the levee failure to determine whether it resulted from equipment malfunction or other factors. City officials said the breach section was part of a flood barrier system installed in 2008 and intended only as a temporary solution. After 17 years of use, the system was no longer able to withstand the pressure from prolonged heavy rainfall. Pacific Mayor Vic Cave said more than 200 households were affected, with an estimated 600 to 1,000 people displaced. He described the initial breach as a small leak discovered by overnight staff that quickly expanded into multiple consecutive barrier failures. Washington Governor Bob Ferguson said the damage from historic flooding across the state over the past week has been severe and could worsen in the coming days. After more than a week of continuous heavy rain, some areas recorded up to 24 inches of rainfall, causing rivers to overflow and triggering more than 600 rescues across 10 counties. As of Tuesday evening, one death was confirmed after a man drove past warning signs and was swept away by floodwaters in Snohomish County. Governor Ferguson added that several major highways were buried or washed away, including United States Route 2, which connects western Washington to the Stevens Pass ski area and the tourist town of Leavenworth. The highway may take months to reopen. He warned that flood and landslide risks will persist and urged residents to strictly follow evacuation orders. According to the governor's office, rescue teams carried out at least 629 rescues and assisted in 572 evacuations. At one point, nearly 100,000 people statewide were under evacuation orders, primarily in flood-prone lowlands such as the Skagit River Basin north of Seattle. White River Dam breach submerges Washington state. Please watch the new video.